Hi, everyone, and welcome to Legal Limelight, where we spotlight key legal industry insiders and also entrepreneurs that are using intellectual property to create wealth, build the life of their dreams, and change the world. Today, I have Rachel B. Lee, who is the lady boss on LinkedIn. Rachel, I'm so excited to chat with you. Thank you so much for your patience. We're 30 minutes. Hi, I'm good. I can't hear you. Oh, it's your ear.
You
It
can't
doesn't
you
like
can't
work with
hear me?
Instagram lives.
Yeah, I think it was just kind
Now
of
I got
connecting
you.
and
Yeah.
everything. Hi.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Okay. Rachel, I made Rachel wait 30 minutes. I am so sorry. It is absolute chaos right now. Everyone's sick in my house, and
It's all
I'm
good.
going to
We're
leave it
here.
at
We're in it.
that.
Let's do it.
Yeah. And this gets reshared on LinkedIn.
Hi,
So you can say hi to your
everybody.
LinkedIn
Hi,
community
friends.
and YouTube. I'm Thank you so much. I'm really excited to have you on here because, like, as I was saying at the intro, I really spotlight people who are disruptors and changing the game and building brands. And I know that
I'm a
is all what
disruptor.
you're about. And
Yeah.
a lot of my community are and a female one. A lot of the community are lawyers, and so I wanted to bring you in to that sphere because we always need help on branding and marketing and all of that. So without further ado, I want to start by just give us an overview of like why branding, why marketing, how did you enter
Yeah.
into this
Well,
sphere?
it's so great to connect and chat with everybody today. As she said, I am a branding lady boss, but I think I sort of coined that term the last few years as a way to brand myself. But my background is one of marketing. I'm a marketer. So I worked at a marketing agency. I got my MBA at the University of Texas, McCombs School of Business here in Austin. And I got the MBA, which let me work at Microsoft, which got me the opportunity to work at Microsoft and Gartner. So doing really big corporate marketing and working with really big brands. And in that journey, I learned what it takes to create a message that resonates with another human being. That's ultimately what we're trying to do with a brand, right? Brand is our DNA. It is
Yeah.
the why of what we do. It's the what of what we do. And it's the how. Whether it's your business brand or your personal brand, they're the same, right? In terms of like what message you're trying to deliver. Um, and the last year and a half, I decided to leave corporate and partner with my husband, Joshua B. Lee, and help lead Standout Authority. And while we focus on LinkedIn as our vehicle to execute, because we believe in thought leadership, not just influencers, but thought leadership and really in a business mindset, um, there's no way to create content, have influence, have a message if you really haven't focused on your brand and really gotten clear on what what value you have and what you're trying to deliver. And when you're a lawyer, or really any person that is working for somebody else many times, although many lawyers have their own practices, we sort of forget that we are like a brand. Like we're so right, like we're so
We're a
focused on
brand.
the work that we're doing, and just in that we forget that like I actually stand for something. And it's so critical in a time right now. We're in the human era. We're in the time of a lot of change, and that's what I'm so excited about, for people to really take the second to focus in on them.
So you said something about, I want to go back to thought leadership, because you said that we are not influencers at a certain point is like one level, but you really work with thought leaders. I love that term, but what exactly does it mean to you? And what is it about thought leadership that sets apart everyone
Yeah,
else
I
that's
think
creating content
I
online?
think the a big distinction when you think about influencer marketing and you think about the sort of traditional, okay, let's say I'm a fashion blogger, I have a blog, I have great style, And then now I have brands that want me to wear their clothes, and it's sort of organic because I'm going to choose partners and clothes that really are true to my authentic self. And then I'm going to naturally talk about what I'm wearing, right? And it's sort of a shout out to the brand. That is a lot of like sponsorship and where we've seen influencer marketing today. Now, as technology has become the forefront of everything we do, it wasn't like that, right? 20 years ago, God, really 10 years ago, it wasn't like social media wasn't the only thing that people used to get information.
Yeah.
It's changed, right? Now it's not just about what product are you wearing or the fact that you support a company. It's actually what expertise do you have based off of your experiences? What credibility do you have? Why should I trust you? And to me, that is the difference between an influencer and a thought leader. A thought leader is one that knows their niche, has experience around that, and has a perspective that is validated not just by their experiences, but by the industry, right? By other people. So I would never say I'm a thought leader in technology. I would never say I'm a thought leader in law, but I could say it around marketing, right? I have over a decade of experience. I own my business. I have a marketing agency. Like I can say that. And so I think it's just such a critical distinction. And it's really, really important because of social media. A lot of people are saying a lot of things and it's smoke and mirrors. People pretend
Mm-hmm.
to know things and they don't. And that's what's really important about LinkedIn is that it actually is a more professional website where I can see your experiences, the companies you've worked for. I could see recommendations. I'd have that validation, unlike some other platforms. So it's not that you should only be on LinkedIn. It's just, to me, the only business professional platform.
So and it's great for lawyers, right? Because there's, lawyers are people who we're in suits and we're not colorful. And, like there's this type that people think a lawyer has to be or look like and act. And so that everything has really changed in the past couple years, especially with everything being, more remote and people being at home and showing personal sides of them. Like lawyers can't just be those people that like look like they're robots and don't have lives and don't have kids or don't have family and other obligations after work. So that's changing. And so what's your advice to lawyers who are, at firms or work for companies that have never ever thought of themselves as a brand?
So I think a few things, and meet me in the morning is like, what are we talking about? We're talking about personal branding. And I think the first thing is to really understand what is a personal brand before it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. When I ask people, what do you think a personal brand is? Well, let me ask you, what do you think a personal brand is?
I think your personal brand is your story. Like it's who you are and like who you attract and kind of what you're about. That's
absolutely. That's definitely it. And I have a even more a different kind of definition, which is that it's how others see you, which most people will say, oh, it's my reputation. Oh, Jeff Bezos' quote when that was what people say about me when I'm not in the room, because that's all about reputation, right? It's all about what is the perception that people have of me? What are the impressions I'm giving off? What is the context people use when they think about me? So a lot of that is in relationship with other people. And that is a very critical piece of branding, period, and personal branding. The other side of the house, which is kind of what you're alluding to, is how you see yourself. And my why and my story and what drives me is a really important piece and often overlooked, especially for people in a field like law or finance or consulting, these sort of traditional, like really important pieces of our world, but they're not sexy necessarily. And you might be the lawyer that loves to cook or has followers on Instagram because you love to share your kids and your dogs. And like you have this I think you are a great example of that, right? Where you're very multifaceted, not just like a lawyer. And so when we're able to
Mm-hmm.
take how others see us and how we see ourselves, we're able to create our personal brand. And when we're creating our personal brand, we have to think about what are our skills, what are our superpowers, why do people come to you? So certainly law is one of, and you have some specific things that you work on, right, in the field. So what are your superpowers? What are your skills? Who is your audience? So often people don't know who their audience is. And by the way, I was just reading this thing
Yeah.
with HubSpot, literally the article they had today saying most marketers don't actually know their audience. Marketers are the one that are supposed to know.
How can we know our audience? How can people who, okay, two different categories. How can people who like build a community like me, right? Who like want to build a community intentionally know their audience, but then how can people who maybe are on LinkedIn but not like actively posting or creating on there, how do they know
So
who
the
their
first place
audience
to look
is?
at is who can relate to your background and experiences. Like,
Wow,
so we're women.
that's so obvious, but like it just kind of like blew my mind a little bit. Like I'm a mom, and other female lawyers that are also moms, or even just other
Boom,
female
boom, boom.
lawyers.
Like you're already creating your own segmentation. What happens though, Francesca, is that people want to go after an aspirational audience that they don't really have credibility or trust with. So it's like,
so interesting.
I can appeal to lawyers now, specific lawyers that are really interested in how do I get myself out there. But I would never say that my audience is lawyers.
Your audience.
I would never say that. However, if I really started to, I can really support lawyers as I've grown into this role as an entrepreneur, business owner, and standout authority in what we do, because we cover different industries. As I get more experience,
No, but I see the
and
difference.
I'm working with more lawyers, then yes, if I have credibility and backing to say, yeah, Rachel's worked in the law field, she understands, then it's possible for me to attract that audience. But from the start, I would never say my audience is female lawyers, but females. Yeah.
So it's super subtle. Like right, it's super subtle because you think that, oh, that's so obvious. Like if you don't have experience, you can't really connect with these people, not your community. But I think like a lot of us, when we put out content, we just are putting out content, but we're not thinking about who is reading it. Like who do we connect with? Like, right? Is that kind of the distinction?
There's a few, like, you got to go low hanging fruit and also look at the data that you have. So if you go onto Instagram, you're able to see, for instance, my audience, I don't have a huge audience on Instagram, is like 70% female. It's not the same though. Yeah,
I think that's great.
But it's not the same on LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn, we don't get that breakdown just from the analytical side yet. Your advertising, you would. But I know for a fact, just because my audience is bigger and I know who engages with me and I look at our clientele, that there's a lot more men. There's a lot of men. At least it's a 50-50, right?
Wow.
So on Instagram, I can be on with you and I can have this conversation. I can be on with other ladies. I can have a more spiritual conversation. I could talk about my fertility journey. I all of these pieces that I might not do as much on LinkedIn because my audience is a little different.
I love that. I love that you're saying that, because I think, like a lot of people who are starting this, they think, oh, we just have to post a piece of content and then distribute it across everything, right? But like I make different content for my Instagram. I make different content for my LinkedIn. So do you do the same thing? Or are you like intentional with where you post and what you post?
So content is it's a whole conversation, and there's a lot of pieces of creating content. I think the first piece is, what is your content strategy? And you're right, most people just start putting out content. And yes, there are many people out there, especially TikTokers now over the last, 2-3 years, because the algorithm is so poppin', that they've been able to put out, quite frankly, random content and get millions of impressions and get millions of followers. And then they're like, okay, like, how do I monetize this? Like,
Yes.
like, how do I monetize
so
this, right?
you
Like,
said that.
which is, so there's just back into our conversation around thought leadership, influencer, and like, what game are you trying to play? But the game that I'm trying to play is that I'm a non-professional creator. I don't get paid for part. I mean, we actually do have an amazing brand partnership with Blue Jeans by Verizon, which is very exciting. That it's amazing. And now, because
Awesome.
B2B influencers are starting to really become a thing. But that's not how I make my money, right? I make my money by the agency and our coaching and all the stuff that we do. And so, because of my quite frankly, like, disciplined approach to marketing and experience, I approach content I approach it as if it's Microsoft, as if it's Gartner. Hear me, Rachel Bronstein Lee. I am creating content and I only have so much capacity. What are my themes? What are the things that have credibility? Back to that brand that we talked about. Who's your audience? What's your differentiation? What's your passion? What are your skills? Those are the 4 pieces of creating your value proposition. Yeah,
repeat it.
This is where people reach out to me. We have workshops and training on all of this stuff, but building your value proposition is 4 elements: your skills, your differentiation, your audience, and your passion. And so the work has to start there with building your brand. After that, then you can start talking about, how do you get attention? How do you grow your audience? Who is your audience? How do I go after them? And then it's about engaging. How do I engage in a way that actually converts? Because some people might listen, I know there are many people that just post because they like it, they enjoy it. All the power to those people. I'm not in that business. I'm in the business of getting out because I want to share my voice. So it fills my passion and it's a skill. And I want that content to produce something meaningful for my business, which I think most people really do want when you're spending hours and hours a week creating content. I just believe that's the only way, because you get very fatigued. It's not realistic, especially a lawyer. What are you going to sit there and cut reels all day and make TikTok videos? Not realistic. So not realistic.
It's not realistic.
So what is your advice, though? I have a power
for people who are starting.
My power platform is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is great because it doesn't mean you have to make videos every day. Unlike TikTok, it's this reel, this I love video, and creating the cool videos and stuff like that is not something I personally have the most time for. And I don't have somebody hired to help me. So the algorithm with TikTok and Instagram as a businesswoman is challenging. So I first focus on LinkedIn. It's also what our business does and where my audience I know is. I have 3 posts a week I absolutely know are happening. Those can be in a graphic. They can be in a poll. They can be a carousel. They can be a video. They can be just text. I produce newsletters. I have different content formats, like kind of the old days, right? Where you could use a graphic. Super effective. Carousels was super effective. 3 posts a week, and I make sure I get that out. Then what I'll do, because that's my most important piece, I need to create content there. I'll take an idea. Let's say I did this post on personal branding don'ts. Here are your when I have a second, I'll go onto a reel and I'll quickly talk the post out into a video. So repurpose is the only way to play this game. If you're a professional business woman, a lawyer, if you're not a full-time content creator, which quite frankly, I'm not full-time, but I'm like a good amount. And our agency creates content. We do a lot of fucking content.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just you have repurpose is the name of the game. You got to have the brand positioning super clear. What are your content themes? I pick 3 themes for all of our clients, for myself. I stick to my themes. I produce the LinkedIn posts for those, and I repurpose where it makes sense. But I also don't overstretch myself. I tried. I've done that.
Yeah.
It's a burn.
Yeah, you burn out.
It's huge. It's a big
It's
burnout. We were
exhausting.
just talking about that with our community last week. Content fatigue, because every single person in our community is like you. They have businesses.
I'm at an interesting point where like I was playing the Reels TikTok game and it worked. I mean, I had
That's
videos,
amazing.
Rachel, that had like millions of views. Okay. But
Yeah.
were those converting? No. What that was attracting, and this is like important because you said this and like my face lit up. Like what if you focus on if you don't know where your people are, okay? Like I work with big brands, like in-house counsel.
Yeah.
A lot of them are on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. They're not like really on TikTok. So if I'm putting all my energy into TikTok, focusing, trying to get a video to go viral, just because my numbers are going up and people are following me, like it's not correlating to quality. So whereas TikTok, like I don't know the people. I don't read the comments because they're awful. Like I talk about a celebrity video and it attracts people who like either love them or hate them. And you should read these comments. Like it's disgusting. Like it makes me hate the internet. So I'm not going to spend my precious time making videos so that people can either like love or hate on the people in the
What
video
the
and not really
education
absorb what I'm
is.
saying.
And that is, I'm so glad you brought that up. And this is, my husband's the dopamine dealer. And a lot of what we talk about is the dopamine. So what social media has done every single time, it's dopamine. Our brains, we don't realize it logically, but in our brain, the dopamine is happening every single time. It's very draining. Number one, this is not sustainable for our bodies. So put that to the side. But what's happening is you're feeling FOMO. You're feeling the dopamine. Oh, I want those followers. Ooh, I just got 1 million views. Ooh, I want more. I want more because our ego, right? Ooh. Not sustainable. It's not sustainable unless
Not
you are monetizing. Now, listen, there is what can happen though, right? You could take the 1 million followers or whatever you have, and then you go leverage it, right? With partnerships, because brands want to work with people. And that's absolutely a great idea. Just know small percentage of people are actually making enough income to support their lifestyle through brand, influencer engagements, partnerships, full-time. The average professional content creator is making about $45,000 a year. And it's less for women, of course, and then less for, minority groups. So you just,
it's not the whole end all be all. Like you can use, right? Like, so and for lawyers who are like in-house, for example, who like never thought about creating content for themselves. I gave a talk the other day on like why it's important. And like, I'm not the branding marketing expert, Rachel, like you are, and I would love your opinion on this. So like, from my perspective, I think it's important when you interview, when you are on stages, like positioning yourself as the expert. I think LinkedIn's that great platform where you can just find whatever content format that works for you, whether it's like text or polls, like you're saying, graphics, where it just establishes you as that go-to expert, whether it's still in your company that you're working at, or whether you're looking to move, or if you want to mentor or speak on stages. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Again, given you're in the law field and who you're speaking to, LinkedIn is also one of the few platforms that companies like that will like be okay. They're comfortable with you having a profile, with you posting content. A lot of companies that are a little bit more buttoned up, they don't love if you're posting things on Instagram and
it's
TikTok.
so dumb.
Yeah. I mean, it's real. That is real. that companies, and guess what? Companies have a right to do so because it's this shit show out there. You know, and here's the thing, everybody thinks that
It's
they could say
true.
whatever they want. And let me go back to the personal brand piece, because we could talk content all day. We could have this conversation. We could go tactics. We could do this whole thing. What do you want to be known for? What do you want people to say
I
about
love
you
that.
when you're not in the room? How do you see yourself? So don't post shit that you don't want people to see. Don't post shit that you'd be scared if your kids saw it. You want to know something? Skylar, my 10-year-old, and she's all over YouTube. She watches YouTube Shorts, YouTube Shorts, YouTube Shorts. Same with Jaden, 13. And now that they've realized, oh, well, Daddy and Ray, like, they're like kind of cool. They're on social, you know. She's now on the, you know, on YouTube, on Google, searching Josh's name. She's looking at videos. She's watching them. She's showing them to her friends. It really made me think, wow, this is a 10-year-old consuming this content. And she's proud of it, right? We want her to be proud. We are proud. We are proud of what we believe in, what we stand for. We stand for heart-centered, conscious leadership. But many people are not thinking that smart. And so, you know, as we kind of close this out today, you are accountable and responsible for what you put out there. And I think we're all at a point where everybody thinks that they can just say whatever they want. And I don't recommend that. And great PR and great brand advice, because I work with executives at the top companies in the world. It's not about saying things all the time. You got to protect the company and you have to protect the brand. And you know this because you're a lawyer, right? Because you're the person that's going to have to go in. And there's some crazy stuff happening too. Actually, a VP we work out at Microsoft just flagged, you know, executive leadership will be asked to get interviews and you know, from newspapers and things like that. Like in North Korea and different places, they'll try to interview executive leadership here as if it's an interview, getting their perspective, and they're actually using that as like cybersecurity sort of insider information. Yeah. So I come from a place, and that's why I love my background in corporate, and I believe in really responsible leadership, that think about that brand, really think about what is the message you're trying to get out there. Don't get caught in the like huss and of all the TikTok, and I need to produce. Yesterday on our call with our community, I need to put out a blog. I said, wait a minute, you need to? Let's just start there. Because if we say that first, it ain't going to go well. Do you want to? What message do you want to put out there?
Does your community want
and
that?
Is it
like,
going
is
to
that how
educate, inspire, and draw people in? My content, because I've gotten consistent about it, and I'm very consistent with my message, the fact that, you know, she's a branding lady boss, is because of the work I've done over the last 2 years. It wasn't like that when I was working at Gartner. I've been working hard to create a look and feel, to create messaging, to stand by that messaging. So now I'm asked for podcasts, I'm asked to do work. It's like now people see me on LinkedIn, they reach out to me and say, I want to talk to you about my branding. Tell me, you know? So that's what matters to me. That's why we use content. We use content to drive the opportunities, and of course to share our voice authentically and to drive opportunities.
Well, it obviously works. You've really established yourself, and I love, like, I took away so much from this, Rachel. Like, thank you so, because I'm in that point where I'm moving away from the TikToks and the shorter video, because my audience, like you said, is like the high level, like, professionals. And so I'm going to try to like think where I'm going to meet them, where they are, like on LinkedIn. So I love what you and your husband are doing. You guys are like an amazing powerhouse team. Where can people go to follow you, and how can people start working with you? I
appreciate that so much. Obviously LinkedIn, across all the platforms, I'm the Rachel B. Lee. Here is great. Of course, I'm checking Instagram, but LinkedIn is absolutely the power place, and standoutauthority.com. So our company is Standout Authority, standoutauthority.com. We have a community people can jump in. I see Ivy here. Can you repeat the 4 important things? Sure. Thanks for asking. So 4 pieces of building your personal brand. 1, what are your skills? So what are your superpowers? So like really ask other people what they would come to you for. 2, audience, who can relate to your background and experience, not aspirational, your background and experience. 3, what's your differentiation? So think about your experiences and things that you've accomplished that makes you different than other people. Some stuff that people overlook, the fact that maybe you're a firstborn American citizen, you speak 4 languages, you have a certification in whatever, Six Sigma. All these different pieces make you different. And then last but not least is your passion. What gives you energy and excitement? Because that's really what builds the authenticity. That's what makes it feel real. So think about that. You know, for me, this is part of my passion. Making others understand and feel like they have a voice and be excited about that. And those 4 pieces are the foundations of building your personal brand.
Amazing. And this is going to be shared on the recording, so a lot of you watching the recording probably hit pause and wrote it down in your notebooks. Rachel, thank you so much for coming on. I so appreciate you, and especially for all your patience as it was chaos this morning. You're amazing. Let's definitely keep in touch. And for everyone on here, thank you so much. We're here every Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern time, and I'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you
everyone
so much.
go follow
Happy
Rachel
holidays,
now
y'all.
on
Have a great
LinkedIn.
one. Bye.